Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you, and welcome back to another episode of Hard Times, where I try recipes from times of scarcity. So today I'm going to be making a potato peel pie. This was on my list of recipes to try, and today we're going to try it. The recipe I'm going to be using today was inspired by Visit Guernsey, and it was inspired by a book of historical fiction by Marianne Schaeffer called the Guernsey Literary Potato Peel Pie Society. It was very, very popular on the New York Times best-selling list, and it was turned into a movie as well. I've yet to read or watch either one of them, but after doing research for this recipe, I'm inspired to read the book. So the book takes place on Guernsey, which is located in the English Channel, in the Channel Islands, which is located between France and the UK. So you can imagine that it was a pretty strategic area. It was occupied by the Nazi Germans, and so there was a lot of scarcity. So this particular dish of potato peel pie is mentioned in the book, and I'm going to attempt to make it today because I'm curious to see what it tastes like. It is very, very simple, and as you can imagine, during those times you would be using whatever you had on hand. Basically, we're going to be using potatoes and whatever we can to give it some additional flavor. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've given my potatoes a good scrub already, so they're free of any dirt, and we are going to use the entire potato, including the peel. So I've got my grater here, and I'm going to grate the skins into a bowl. And then I'm going to use the rest of the potato for the filling. These are russet potatoes. I grew a yellow variety that's a little bit more waxy. But since we're making mashed potatoes for the filling, I chose to go with a russet. But of course, during hard times, you use whatever you've got on hand. Now, the recipe that I'm taking inspiration from does not give exact amounts, which in some respects makes it feel a little more accurate, right? Because you would just be using what you got. I've got so far about 1.5 cups, I would say, of potato peel, and this is from 2 medium and 1 large potato. So in total, I'm going to use about 4 or 5 medium-sized potatoes, medium to small-sized potatoes. So I've got about 2 cups of grated potato skins. To that, I'm going to grate some onion. This I grew in my garden as well, and as mentioned before, I love growing onions because they're so useful, but not only that, you can keep them for a few months, so it's great. It's like you've got money in the bank, right? So this kind of reminds me of latkes, potato and onion, right? So this will give it a little bit of flavor. Half of a yellow onion, so that would be about 1/4 cup. And then in here I have a beet, or as they say in the UK, beetroot. This is my favorite way of cooking beets. It's simply giving them a good scrub, wrapping them individually in foil, and then placing them in a 400-degree oven, and then cooking them until they are fork tender, or until a knife goes in it really easily. It takes quite a while. Beets are very hard, but they're super nutritious, and like onions, they keep really well, even better. You can bury these in sand and put them in your garage, and they'll keep all winter long. So that's super useful. So there you have it, peeled beet. So roasting it this way also makes it very easy to peel. As you just saw, I just scraped the peel off, came off very easily. And now we're going to grate some of this beet into our bowl. I'm going to do half of this beet, so about 1/2 cup of grated beet into that. And that will give us lots of flavor and some color. So here we have our 3 ingredients so far, our potato peels, our onion, and beet, all grated together. Now we're going to add some salt. Good solid pinch, about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and some cracked pepper. And then an egg. This is a fresh egg. It just came out of the hen house. It's actually just warm still, which is just wonderful. What a little gift. Warm egg. Thank you, Miss Hen. And we just need the egg white. Oh my gosh. So warm. 1 egg white. Look how sunny that is. Thank you, Miss Hen. And to hold everything together, a couple teaspoons of flour. Mix that together. It actually smells really good. I love onion. And the beets are making this a beautiful pink color. Look how gorgeous that is. I'm always wowed by beets. Like, why don't I eat beets more often? If you add it to yogurt or something that has a white color to it, yogurt, or if you're making a dip, for example, cream cheese, it makes such a vibrant pink. It's incredible. All right, so I'm going to use a little oil in my pan. This is a 8-inch cake pan. This is what they showed in the video. So this is what I'm using, but I think any kind of pie dish would work, casserole dish. Okay, so liberally grease that. And now we're going to put our filling in. There's one big hunk of onion in there. I don't think that will work so well for our crust. So add this to our pan, and we're going to press it into the pan to create a crust. So this is our potato peel crust. So in the book, they don't have an exact recipe. So this is an extrapolation based on what might taste good and what would have been on hand at the time and on the islands. Granted, you may not have had all these ingredients, but you would just have to make do with what you had, right? But I have no doubt that none of the potato would have gone to waste. I find these historical recipes so inspiring because it's incredible what people come up with out of times of hardship, you know? Just gotta get by, gotta get something in your belly. What can we make? What do we have? That resourcefulness, very inspiring. So I'm using the spatula to press the mixture up the sides of the pan while getting a nice even layer on the bottom as well. So this is about perfect. There's about 1.5 cups, 2 cups of potato skin, 2 1/4 cup of onion, and about 1/2 cup of beets, grated, cooked and grated. Alrighty, so now look at that, isn't that gorgeous? Stunning. So we're gonna pop this into a preheated 350° F or 180° C oven and bake it for 45 to 50 minutes or until this is beautifully golden and essentially cooked and dried out, because this is going to be our pie shell. And then we'll fill it up with our filling. Righty, my lovelies, I'll see you in a little bit. Alrighty, my lovelies, back with the finished potato peel crust. Isn't that great? Look how beautifully it toasted up. Now I hope it's going to come out easily. I should have lined this with parchment. The recipe did not say to do so, but I should have lined this with parchment because even though I oiled this, you know, things tend to stick. So I'm going to give it a little preemptive loosening. And this kind of pan is not easy to get pretty wedges out of, so we'll do our best. Made it all the way around. Definitely had some sticking. Let's see if I can get it out. Nope. All right, so this is going to be tricky, but at any rate, we have our crust. Now we're going to make our filling. So in this little pot here, I boiled those potatoes that I had peeled earlier. So here they are, boiled up. And whenever you're making mashed potatoes, it's really important to cook the potatoes all the way because we don't want lumpy potatoes. We don't want lumpy potatoes. We're gonna mash our potatoes. I'm using a ricer because I have one, but a potato masher would work just fine. I really like a ricer for making mashed potatoes because it gets every single lump out. It's basically like a giant garlic press. Look at that. Isn't that cool? It does take some work to get it to mush though. See how it's mushing out? Oh, it's too much effort. Plus this table is really tall for me. All right, there we go. See that? Okay. And when you cook your potatoes, make sure you add a generous amount of salt. That's a key part of making mashed potatoes. In my opinion, you gotta have enough salt. I wouldn't use a food processor. I've done that before and my potatoes got really gummy. We don't want gummy potatoes. All right, after much effort, we have fluffy potatoes. To the riced potatoes, we're gonna add some chives. These came out of my garden. They add a lot of flavor and lots of color too. These little green flecks will be very cute in the potato. It's classic combination, right? Potato and chive. Potato and onion, really. We can stop here, but if we have it, we can add a little bit of milk or cream to make this richer. But if we don't have it, this is it. This is our filling. We might add a little bit of water to make it a little bit creamier. But since I have a little bit of cream, I'm gonna add a splash to it and whip that in, because we're going to bake this at the same temperature, 350 degrees for 20 minutes. And we don't want our potatoes to be dry. So add a little more pepper. Oh my gosh, my pepper grinder's out. Almost up. Get some more pepper. And let's give this a taste for salt. Pretty good, but a little more. And a little more cream. I'd say that's 3 tablespoons so far of cream. Any kind of liquid to moisten it so that they are not dry. A little bit of butter would be nice too, of course, but it's hard times. You may not have butter. So I'm going to taste again. Even more salt, just a little bit. All right, so beautiful mashed potatoes. Now we're going to take our filling, plop it into our crust. Potatoes are so versatile. You can use them in so many different things, and they're so delicious. Now we're just gonna mush it in. I'm gonna go for a nice little swoopy, old-timey look. Nice. So here's another ingredient that's gonna make this extra tasty, and it's only if you've got it. It's a little bit of cheddar cheese. So recipe says Guernsey cheddar, but I don't have Guernsey cheddar. I just have this cheddar. So this is what I'm using. And this is going to give it an extra layer of richness and flavor. Beautiful. Alrighty, back into the 350 degree F or 180 degree C oven for about 20 minutes or until everything is nicely warmed up and golden brown on top. Then we'll give this a taste. So our cheese is melted, but it's not golden brown. So I'm going to put it under the broiler for just a few minutes to get nice and golden. Don't leave it, because this can happen very quickly. Ooh, yes. All right, just a few minutes under the broiler, and we have a golden brown pie. Look at that. Doesn't that look beautiful? Look at that. Beautiful. All right, my lovelies, let's give this a taste. I'm gonna use a very thin spatula and go around it. Oops. Try to loosen it so I can do my best to get a nice clean slice. Take my knife, give it a slice. Ooh, slices very softly, just as you would imagine slicing into mashed potatoes. And I can smell the cheese. It smells great. Ooh. I think I'm better off using a spoon. Just as I expected, it's not coming out very cleanly. Oh well. So much for coming out as a slice. Alrighty, my first taste of potato peel pie. Here we have it. I'm gonna have a bit of the crust. Crust is definitely a crust, but it's not crispy. But let's have a bite with everything. Alrighty, itadakimasu. It's not bad. The mashed potatoes are well seasoned, nice and chivey and oniony, and salted. The crust is not crispy, so don't expect to have a crust like a typical pastry crust. No flour in here, just vegetables essentially. But it's nice to have a little difference in texture with that really soft mashed potato and then to have a layer beneath it. And while it's not crispy, It's distinct. There's definitely a different texture going on, and the flavor of it's pretty good too. It doesn't taste, for those that don't love beets, it doesn't taste too beety. Not beety at all, actually. I taste the onion more than the beet. And it's really nice. It's super simple. It reminds me like the top of a shepherd's pie. Warm, cozy, hearty, and it uses the entire potato. No wasted potato whatsoever. Peel and all. And very inexpensive. This probably just cost $1 or $2 for the entire pie. Very economical as well. Alrighty, my lovelies, there you have it. A World War II era potato peel pie that was inspired by the Guernsey Literary Potato Peel Pie Society by Mary Ann Shaver. Please share with me your favorite struggle meal in the comments. I love hearing about them. Lots of inspiration there. And thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye. Pretty good. I mean, no protein, but pretty good. Potatoes. I love potatoes.